NFTs will simply become accepted over time like so many other controversial moves in the video game industry. That is the opinion of Yves Guillemot, I take it, from Ubisoft, and as much as I would love to say that this person is wrong, they're not. In fact, this is in all due likelihood 100% correct. The whole idea of NFTs, in case you're unaware by the way, an NFT is a scam, basically. Well, its original iteration was, in my opinion, literally a scam, in that people purchased non-fungible tokens, NFTs, unique .jpegs, for, in some cases, genuinely absurd quantities of money, under the impression that they would be the only one in the entire world with this .jpeg. It turns out, however, that in a universe where you can hit print screen to take a picture of literally anything on the internet, theoretically you are still the only one in control over that particular piece of code, quote-unquote, but the idea that this is somehow a unique picture that only you can ever have, or that this is in any way legally enforceable, is absolute nonsense. However, of course, like all good scams, the video game industry quickly saw an opportunity to insert itself into it as well, and Ubisoft, ever ready to lead the way in scummy business practices, was one of the first to jump on the bandwagon. Now, unfortunately for Ubisoft, there was a massive backlash over this as they put it into Ghost Recon Breakpoint, where any player that had over 600 hours would be granted an NFT. Alright, I mean, sounds harmless enough, in a way, kind of, but this obviously is not about the NFT itself. It is the scummy business practice that this will almost inevitably introduce, and they bring up another very important point as well. Developers in the Ubisoft Paris studio are worried about the push for NFTs as they have spent the better part of 2 years reforging the game after the disastrous 2019 launch. And a lot of that goodwill has since been muddied by the introduction of NFTs, which are likely to take up even more development time, even more planning time, and even more marketing time over the game. Kind of like DLC, downloadable content, extras, slashing up the DLC, the death of the expansion pack, and instead selling it piecemeal over time, for example. All of these things have been genuinely negative additions to gaming, and yet another monetization option with the idea of a full marketplace for these NFTs as well, for players to trade the NFTs with one another. Well, it's almost certainly going to be the exact same thing, because you can't have a marketplace with one product. Obviously not. So now you're going to have an entire team designing NFTs and designing ever more insane requirements for getting these NFTs, this goddamn .jpegs. Because of course, a .jpeg that everyone gets for logging into the game is worth diddly dick nothing. Everyone has it. An NFT that you only get if you spend 600 hours and you do something ridiculous that requires ridiculous quantities of grinding and commitment is theoretically going to be worth a lot more than the previous NFT. But again, you need an entire team to come up with retired various goals for these things now, which is going to damage the development process for the rest of the game, obviously. But despite, and so many people have mentioned this well, so many people have called this out, and again, I can't stress enough, the vast majority of NFTs will be worth a diddly dick nothing. They're kind of like the Steam trading card games that are being sold for 0.0 something cents on the Steam marketplace. A hobby for the rather particularly interested, shall we say. But there will be those NFTs that will be worth a ridiculous amount of money, depending upon the either the insane requirements or the circumstances around the generation of the NFT. And these will of course be pushed by the video game developers and probably the mainstream gaming media as well, and everyone else will go like, oh my god, I could earn thousands of dollars on this if only I go and grind the game and feed into the market economy. An example, for example. an example, for example. Well, there's quite a double entendre. An example would be that you have a popular streamer, a big name dude, right, who's doing some of this, and he gets an NFT for whatever. Maybe it's a random drop. Preferably, it would be a random drop. Like, that crazy person who leveled up to max level in World of Warcraft via picking flowers, for example. Saying that there is actually an NFT created for that, leveling all the way to max level, doing nothing but picking flowers. And yet it'll be the only one. That'll be a retarded achievement with quite a lot of internet attention, and that NFT would probably be worth a fair bit of money. Another, again, famous streamer gets it during some kind of insane circumstances, it becomes viral, and the NFT itself becomes a part of the viral experience. Now, again, none of this solves the fact that you could just screenshot it and it would have the exact same effect beyond having the literal code. And since the code isn't even really something you can see, well, at the end of the day, this is selling air. But despite that, see, this gets a complicated thing right here, because you can say it's worthless, and it is absolutely worthless. However, value resides where people believe it resides. This is why bitcoins are now worth tens of thousands of dollars. Because people believe it has money, and so it does have money, or it does have value, excuse me. And hey, you can extend this to any form of currency, though, of course, regular currency does tend to have a little bit more force behind it, shall we say. And it will be accepted. I guarantee you that. It absolutely will be. Will this be a universal negative for the gaming industry? For you? For gaming? For me? For everyone? Yes. Yes, it will be. It'll drag away development time. It will reduce the quality of games because there'll be less people working on it. It will suck away creativity because people who would normally be making gameplay mechanics or story elements will be shut off in a corner somewhere designing smiling monkey faces. And yet, just like DLC killed the expansion pack, a vastly superior practice, but they didn't earn as much money, this will move in as well. And it'll simply just be pushed. Maybe, and the example I always go back to with this is Creative Assembly's Total War. When Total War Warhammer 1 was launched, they sliced out the Chaos faction. A huge part of the base game, the main enemy, the bad guys, the villains, essentially. They cut that out, segmented it, and put it as a pre-order bonus. It was done, it was finished, it was on the disc, quote unquote. There was nothing stopping you from playing Chaos except for a string of letters added on to the end of a script document somewhere in the Total War engine. That was it. But it was taken out of the game specifically and only purely for the purpose of making you get the game before you knew it was good. That is the entire purpose of a pre-order bonus. Now you can argue, oh, it's going to be up for a week after. Yeah, sure. A week. After that, it's just extra sales. Everyone who buys it after that, more money in the cash bag. It's a sliced out faction that we can get more money from. And all of those people who do buy it before they see the review, who impulse buy it, who hope buy it, etc., yet more money in the bag. And there was a huge outcry against it because, again, this is a universally negative practice for the end consumer. We in no way whatsoever benefit from a faction already being finished, already being done, fully functional, being sliced out of a project so that the company can increase their sales figures. It is of absolutely no benefit to us whatsoever. However, then they put out a post like, oh, we're very sorry, we didn't know you wouldn't like this, we're going to reconsider our policy in the future. They didn't. Next game, they did the same thing. Game after that, they're doing the same thing. It's been normalized now because the outcry came and went. And this, as you've seen this throughout gaming history again and again and again. Unpopular practices get a lot of blowback, and the company goes, oh, we'll totally reconsider. People forget about it. 6 months later, they'll try it again. Slightly less blowback. Slightly less blowback 6 months after that. And eventually, It's just an industry standard practice, bro. You can't complain about a few $100s of DLC, bro. Don't you know? They have to make money too. It will happen. NFTs almost certainly will just become another part of gaming. It will be another drain on gaming, and it'll be yet another reason why we will never return to the gaudy days of 2000. Again, I strongly, and hey, maybe I hope I'm wrong, god damn do I hope I'm wrong, and by all sake, yell at them. Remember the year 2000. Sacrifice, Counter-Strike, Deus Ex, The Sims, revolutionary titles that drastically changed the face of video gaming in so many ways. In storytelling, in gameplay, in just entire genre, practically. And not to mention the most popular online shooter literally ever, pretty much, all in the same year. Because back then, gaming was flourishing. And afterwards, we have seen a complete and utter stagnation for a decade plus now. And it ain't gonna get better, because ever fewer resources are actually being funneled into the game. Hell, we could bring up Star Citizen here, who is, they broke $400 million recently? Excluding private investment, they're probably... with private investment, they're probably over $500 million at this point. And 6, 7 years of development? The game is still in alpha. Yeah. NFTs, yet another cancer upon the industry. Oh, glory be. Anywho, until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching. And for being pessimistic with me, but I would also urge you that if you're interested in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, yell loudly, make yourself known, refuse to play it, refund it if you can, don't purchase it if you were interested, because it is the only hope you have of getting rid of this. Small and pathetic though it may be. Until next time, have a good day.